Well, it looks like Canelo and Sergey Kovalev have a silent pact that if Kovalev beats Anthony Yarde, that they will fight later this year. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Also, UFC 241 is on. Use the link in the description. It helps my channel a lot. If you can, you know, I am an affiliate with Disney/ESPN, and UFC 241. If you want to buy the pay-per-view, use the link below. It should be a great card. The main event, obviously, Daniel Cormier, Stipe Miocic heavyweight rematch. I'm looking forward to that. See if Stipe can make some adjustments. Also, the return of Nate Diaz, fellow NorCal person. So, you know, I'm going to support for that reason as well. Again, if you would like to support, watch UFC 241, purchase it, ESPN Plus, you know, using the link below. Now, about Canelo. So, Igis Klimas, who manages a lot of the Eastern European fighters, Russian, Ukrainian fighters, Lomachenko, I think Usyk, Kovalev, and he does a lot of translations and, you know, just helps them out, manager. He just did an interview, and he basically said that there's a silent pact for Canelo versus Kovalev to happen this year. Obviously, Kovalev has to get past his mandatory Anthony Yarde, but if he does do that, then it looks like the Canelo fight is on the table, and that's basically it. Now, the fight was in negotiations earlier, you know, a few months ago, and it fell apart, and Canelo, for whatever reason, is gung-ho. And I don't understand why Canelo's so gung-ho to face Sergey Kovalev. You know, it's not a bad fight, it's not a horrible fight, but you know, I really feel he's likes the style matchup, so it's kind of like an advanced cherry pick. I'm not trying to disrespect Kovalev or say he has no shot, because obviously if Canelo can't take his punch or his boxing ability, then you know it'll be a Kovalev fight. But I think out of all the light heavyweights, there's fresher guys. You know, Jean Pascal just won. I don't know how fresh he is because Kovalev beat him, but more importantly, like the Alexander Volstiks, the Artur Beterbievs, Dmitry Bivol's been calling out Canelo. Why would you target Kovalev? And please don't say it's because Kovalev's star power, because Kovalev he's 3 for 3 in his last 6 fights. So it's not like Kovalev, Eliter Alvarez Part 2 did some crazy monumental numbers. And we all know when it comes to star power, Canelo has enough of that. He's the A side. So it's not like Kovalev is this, you know, equally big star, you know, and he's going to put crazy numbers. In fact, his next fight with Anthony Yarde, I think, although it's a very good fight, some people might not be able to watch it in the States because it's happening in Russia. So it's going to come on at like 1, 2, you know, in the afternoon for Americans. So, you know, some people have to work and stuff. I don't know why Canelo is so gung-ho and hell-bent on fighting Kovalev. I think I know. I think it's because Kovalev has had stamina issues. Kovalev doesn't have the greatest inside game. And these are things that would benefit Canelo. Canelo also has fatiguing and stamina issues where he seems to fight in spurts. But he's younger, he's fresher. He has a tight defense, a better defense. He hasn't been stopped like Kovalev has twice. And I think they just like the style matchup. To me, this doesn't make sense. I'm okay with weight class jumps if you've proven you're the man, but it's almost criminal to have fighters like Jermall Charlo and Demetrius Andrade, who you could have fought at 154, and have them in your same division where you are currently a champion, and just totally blow them off. You know, Charlo, you can make some bullshit about size of the street. See, people pick and choose when it's applicable, the whole size of the street argument. But either way, even if you want to use that bullshit about saying, oh, Charlo, he's with PBC and Canelo's with, there's still no justification to not fight Demetrius Andrade. And it's so funny, new media, we just keep winning. When the fight with Kovalev originally kind of looked like it had fizzled out, there were reports that Canelo's team was going to talk in serious talks with Demetrius Andrade, and it just seemed so quick Like one fight fell out and then they just go into Demetrius Andrade. And I had my fingers crossed, but I also told you guys that I don't see that happen. I don't see Canelo fighting Demetrius Andrade next. You know, it just didn't seem like that's who we would select. And then more time passed, and we didn't hear nothing from Eddie Hearn, Demetrius Andrade's promoter, or Andrade. And Andrade started making like little memes and shit, posting on Twitter. So I'm like, okay, they're not really serious about fighting Andrade. Because if they were serious about fighting Andrade, we probably would have heard something by now. So that was a joke, and a lot of people came to my channel and said, oh yeah, what do you have to say for yourself? Canelo's gonna fight Andrade. Well, that didn't plan out, because according to the rumor, he's still focused on Kovalev. You know, this is just it's a bad look. Again, he's making it like Kovalev is the end-all be-all, or as if he's a person in that division. You're not even at 175. All the great names at 160, like Demetrius Andrade, Boo Boo Andrade, Jamal Charlo, Golovkin wants to fight you. 168, Caleb Smith, Caleb Plant, David Benavidez would be a big Mexican fight. Mexican-American versus a Mexican fighter. Anthony Durrell, obviously they're fighting, but they're fighting in September. Kovalev's fighting at the end of August. So if you could fight Kovalev at the end of the year, you could fight the winner of David Benavidez versus David Benavidez versus Anthony Durrell. You know, Caleb Smith is a guy they called out. So it's just like Canelo doesn't really have intent in fighting all these guys, and it's laughable that he would skip that whole talent pool at 160 and 168 and the fresher, newer guys that have something to prove. We already know Kovalev, he's already accomplished what he's accomplished. He beat B-Hop, gave Ward a tough fight, and then lost the rematch. You know, we already know Kovalev, but we have questions about Alexander Vodstick and Beterbiev and some of these other guys, you know, like Dmitry Bivol. And Canelo could lend his star power and his name to a fresher matchup, but he's targeting Kovalev, who happens to be older, who happens to be 3 for 3 in his last 6 fights, who happens to have been stopped twice, who happens to not be a good inside fighter, something that Canelo's good at, picking his shots, punch selection, fighting on the inside, body shots. Kovalev also don't like it to the body. And, you know, the Andre Ward game plan really exposed Kovalev's flaws. Andre Ward put it on full display what Kovalev was good at and bad at. And I think using that blueprint, you have Canelo who's trying to justify it as a freak weight class jump and say, hey guys, look, it's me, and then achieve title in a newfound division. But in actuality, fighting someone fresher from that division and or one of the top level guys like Andrade, Charlo, or Caleb Smith, David Benavidez, Caleb Plant at 68 would actually probably mean more, because there would be nothing no one can take away from it. Now, the great thing about this that I do think is very interesting is Anthony Yarde. He's the X factor. He could beat Kovalev. I hope he does beat Kovalev. You know, nothing against Kovalev. I like when people try to manipulate the board and it don't go. And I can't wait. If Anthony Yarde defeats Kovalev and knocks him out, right? I can't wait to see if Canelo still jumps to 175 to fight Anthony Yarde. And if he doesn't, then that's going to be even worse a look, because that will show you that what I'm saying is true. This is an advanced cherry pick. If you only want to move up to 175 for Sergey Kovalev, and if he loses and then it's all bets are off, then it's going to be a horrible look for Golden Boy, for Canelo, because they're just stalling around, waiting around on a person, and the guy didn't even pull through the fight that you needed. So to me, that's a weak move, because especially to put it out there public, I wouldn't have revealed that they had this silent deal, because again, if Anthony Yarde go in there and beat Kovalev, then your game plan is already, like, you've already informed the public. So if you don't fight Anthony Yarde, who will then be the champion, and still somehow either fight Kovalev, or now all of a sudden you don't want to move to 175, because Anthony Yarde has a different style, and I think that's what they like. I think they like the style matchup versus Kovalev, because again, between Elite or Alvarez and the first person to do it, Andre Ward, I think we know what Kovalev suffers at. You know, sometimes mentally he folds, body shots, and they're trying to go in there and capitalize. Again, it's not like I'm saying it's a cakewalk, but in the grand scheme of things, the other options are fresher, younger, maybe even hitting harder, like Bivol and Better Biev. Better Biev also beat Kovalev in the amateurs, right? Vodstick can crack. So you're skipping all those fresher, younger guys who hit just as hard and need to prove something and would be good fights to set history with the guy who's been stopped, and we all know his strengths and weaknesses, you know. And a lot of people, even Tyson Fury just did an interview recently, and he says that he's favoring Anthony Yarde because Kovalev looks past it. So this had nothing, his interview had nothing to do with a Canelo Kovalev fight or anything. And he's telling you the same thing I'm telling you. He says, I definitely favor Anthony Yarde in that fight because basically Kovalev's seen better days. So to me, again, this is just an advanced cherry pick. They're trying to sell it based on the fact of the weight class jump, but they also highly like Canelo's chance. Canelo spars light heavyweights, like Shabransky, a guy that Kovalev knocked out. So they like Canelo's chances, and also his walk around weight is not where he campaigns currently at. So it's not that out of the question for Canelo to handle his own, and they know that. You know, that's why they're choosing the guy who seems to be on his last leg more than the other people I mentioned, Bivol and Better Biev and Vodstick. They seem a bit, they don't seem tenderized like Kovalev. So we'll see how it plays out. I hope Anthony Yarde wins just to see an underdog prevail and throw a monkey wrench in this, because I don't prefer that in boxing. Why is Canelo going to bypass all of this talent and talent pool that has gotten to 160, especially guys on your side of the fence like a Demetrius Andrade, bypass the guys you called out yourself, you and your team, like Caleb Smith, and avoid even mentioning like David Benavidez, which we all know would be a big fight if he gets his title back and beats Anthony Durrell, stuff like that. And all the light heavyweights I mentioned, they'll probably go to Jean Pascal because he's the oldest person at light heavyweight, So if Kovalev loses, that's probably their backup plan. Try to go after Jean Pascal just because he's also looked, we know since he's fought everybody, B-Hop, Kovalev, Unisquiv Gonzalez, we know his flaws as well as what he's good at. But again, I don't know, because Jean Pascal has a weird style, and Canelo, I don't know. I don't think he wants to fight tricky, awkward, athletic, definitely in prime black fighters. I know he just fought Danny Jacobs, but that was one person, and I consider like an Andrade more awkward because he's a southpaw and the way he moves and his legs and stuff than a Jacobs. So that style, Canelo's team told you back in the day when Willie Monroe was a little bit more relevant in the division, they said, we're not fighting him. We don't like that style. They never rematched Lada. I mean, all this stuff tells you what it is. So, we'll see what happens, but it's going to be a bad look for Golden Boy Canelo and DAZN if Kovalev loses and you keep wanting to fight him out of all these people that you could possibly fight. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We working.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.